And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have crusty old guy once again. Folks, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Hockey is back. The NHL is back. So, folks, if you are going to a game this season, be it NHL, AHL, PWHL, whatever team you support, folks, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up all the pucks in play. The food will be there. The bathrooms will still be there. The beer will still be there. And if you are going to a Blackhawk game when we come back next Friday, trade deadline day, or one of the ones later on, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. The food's great. It's only a couple of blocks away from the United Center, and it's a lot cheaper than, overpriced food at the United Center, and it's significantly better quality than food at the United Center. Christy, let's get into it. We had the medal rounds. First, we're going to start off with the more dominant team and talking about their success. For the women's hockey gold medal round, we had USA versus Canada. USA was able to win it in fantastic form from our Captain America, Hillary Knight. Also an incredible game by Megan Keller, an incredible run for that entire roster, but also Arne Frankel and Gwyneth Phillips, totaling over 300 minutes without letting a goal in. Guys, they let 2 goals in for like the whole tourney. Absolutely just unreal. The definition of a dominant team in the Olympics. It's absolutely fantastic. If you are new to hockey, be it, if this is your first year or if you're getting into women's hockey because of the dominant run that Team USA had during the Olympics, we got some info for you. So the PWHL resumes February 26th. So this upcoming week, the ladies are back with the PWHL, and most of the players from Team USA as well as Team Canada, but we're focusing on Team USA right now. Most of the players are within the PWHL. So that's your Boston, your New York, your Toronto, your Ottawa, your Montreal, your Minnesota, your Seattle, your Vancouver. They're all, in the PWHL. You have a couple of players that are not in the PWHL yet because they're still in college. So if you are on the, women's hockey train, but maybe your favorite player is not in the PWHL, here's what they're doing next. So we've got 2 kind of conferences within women's collegiate hockey to keep an eye out for with the rest of Team USA's team. So we've got the University of Wisconsin, which has 4 of the women from that roster. That is your Harvey, Edwards, McNaughton, and Sims. They start playing their championship within the WCHA this upcoming weekend. So that is your University of Wisconsin and with University of Minnesota, your Abby Murphy. So all of them will be competing for kind of their playoffs at the collegiate level this upcoming weekend. You have the same thing with the AHA with Tessa Janicki with Penn State. So either the girls are going back to play at the PWHL, or if they're in college, all of the players from Team USA at the collegiate level are also going into the playoffs this upcoming weekend. So you've got these kind of brackets going on, and then we will also have the women's Frozen Four at the tail end-ish of next month, so in the end of March. So there is still plenty of women's hockey. Also, the PWHL goes on later than the NHL does, so don't think just because you're getting in February, that you've missed a ton of the season. You really haven't. You've missed a bit of it, but there's still plenty of hockey left at the PWHL level to, watch. If you want to watch Hillary Knight more, there are plenty of opportunities to watch more Hillary Knight. And then, like I said, at the collegiate level, your Tessa Janicki, your Abby Murphy, Caroline Harvey, Layla Edwards, Ava McNaughton, and Haley Sims are all going to be playing collegiate playoff hockey as well.
Yes. Okay, we going to talk about the gold medal game or?
I was
What do
talking about my gold medal game.
well, right, that gold medal game. Are we talking about it? Thoughts, feelings? Can I give my thoughts, feelings?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first, we're gonna. Am I allowed to open the door and into the silliness that is being a hockey fan? Can I open that door? Okay. I will open the door on my end. And then when we talk about the other people, maybe you could open the door on your end and share with your listeners. Now, for me, I was watching the gold medal game. Um, I thought it was a beautiful piece of. In hockey, at times, there's attack and counterpunch. And I really believe this game, Team USA just attacked. And Canada waited for their opportunities to counterpunch. Find them going a little bit too much the wrong way and attack back the other way. I thought it was well played by both ends. I think at the end of the day, Team Canada was just a little less than Team USA, and I think they knew that. That's the reason for the attempting counterpunching. Now, yes, Hockey
I also
Princess.
do want to say with Team, because I do want to give my flowers to Team Canada's roster. There was also a lot of speculation when the rosters came out. There were a lot of younger, like Canada went with their more seasoned veterans, and Team USA, when about half of their roster were new to the Olympics. And I think there was some definite discourse within Team Canada's fan base of why did you leave off X, Y, and Z individual that is on the younger side, and they prioritized the veterans.
Oh, I definitely, I didn't know it was to that level, but that definitely does make sense. I think that was everywhere in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Just, people didn't want to go completely young, but at the end of the day, opening my door, it was the end of the second period. I was there just hanging out in my living room and said something's got to change. So of course I went, got my OC USA jersey, went out to the deck, lit a cigar, and said, I'm going to change what's going on. Now, Hockey Princess, in a little bit, she'll share with you what she did to change. Later. That'll be later, but it'll let you into the crazy world. The
Yeah.
crazy
Oh,
world.
this is the crazy door that you're opening.
Yes, this is the crazy door that I am opening to let you into. Hockey fans are they're a little off.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, as I told Hockey Princess when we talked about it, I did not think USA was going to do it. We talk in big moments, your main people show up. What a cue for Captain America. What a cue. Again, I believe it was the Lawrence girl with the shot towards the net, correct? Edwards.
Yeah, Layla Edwards.
Layla Edwards, who had a up and down game. No doubt about it. But I was thrilled that it was her assist. And what a phenomenal tip. Just a phenomenal tip by Hillary Knight. But yeah, I really enjoyed the aspect of the attacking U.S. in Canada just biding their time when to counterpunch. Again, that's a little bit more when you've got the 1-goal lead. And again, the overtime, what a play. That was huge. That was, unbelievable. But I did want to shout out with all of the stuff that goes on. I'm not going to lie. I told you before, Claire Thompson, I have newfound respect for because she was the one who got moved on. And that move that happened, at the end of the day, Claire Thompson probably stops that 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 times that doesn't go through. But a weird bounce, a rolling puck, and it goes through her.
Wasn't
And then
she on the ice for like ever too?
Yes. And then just and who was the goal scorer? I'm blanking.
Megan Keller.
Megan Keller with an unbelievable flip up. But I wanted to talk a little bit about international play. This is a lot different. It's a lot different than if you've watched, NHL hockey and the fact that you have a 7-game series and then everybody just handshakes and everything. The loser of this has to sit there and watch somebody celebrate all the time and then has to wait longer and longer and longer. They have to wait for the bronze medal team and then get their silver medals. My heart went out to her because I could not imagine how awful she felt. And to have to stay out there, she's a better person than me because I would have left the ice. Again, I've never competed at any kind of major league level. So, but I did want to mention that's incredibly impressive. That's a long time to be out there and everything else. I thought the game was great. I stay off the social media stuff. Basically, the one thing that I did hear was, that handshake line was a little icy. And I'm like, that's somebody who's new to this. I don't think there's ever been in the last, or since the Olympics has had females in it, that there's been a warm, fuzzy handshake line between USA and Canada. It doesn't happen. As we mentioned before, there is no rivalry huger than when the women get together and play that game. And it delivered. That's for sure.
It was absolutely incredible. Also, I want to give my flowers to MPP, not only, having to go through the ceremony that you mentioned where you're just out there and waiting, but for this, because I believe this is MPP's final Olympics as well, to get injured, be out for a portion, and then lose in overtime. That had to sting. That had to sting. That's definitely not, a month ago what you were expecting your Olympic journey to be like, even if, you don't get injured in the Czech game and you like it was wonky. But mad props out to MPP and the rest of Team Canada because, like you said, that was a phenomenal game to watch. I watched part of it, and not because I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but to continue the silly door that Krusty has opened. Jumping to the men's, unfortunately, really quick. There was a Team Finland game for the men's that they were down, so I decided to shut off the game, being like, if I turn off the TV, maybe it will change it. And then Finland came back and won. So then obviously when the US is down for the women's game, I have to turn it off and hopefully they win it, and they did, which was great. So I did not get to watch part of it, not because I didn't want to, but because I thought I would be the change.
There you have it. That is the craziness. Hockey Princess is even a level above me. I won't get into playoff games where Hockey Princess wouldn't even look up. She would just bury her head down and couldn't quite look as the other team was coming on the rush. It's
Listen, I have a good luck stall in the bathroom that I would use during the dynasty. I'm well aware that I am a loser.
yeah. So that was the other door that I wanted to see opened, just to, give your listeners some context. That's all.
Absolutely. And then final thing for women's hockey, if you are now on the bandwagon, first of all, welcome. It's great. And you're like, how can I watch more women's hockey? If you are in the Chicagoland area, they are doing another PWHL takeover tour. Guys, please show up because the crowd for the December one was not what I was expecting. But also, to be fair, was at the Allstate and the week of Christmas. It's still going to be at the Allstate, but it is on a Wednesday night, March 25th. It is going to be the Seattle Torrent versus the New York Sirens. So if you have watched this Team USA and you have fallen in love with Captain America, guess what? Captain America Hillary Knight is going to be in Chicago at the end of March. So that is going to be Seattle versus New York. So Hillary Knight versus your Christina Kaltenkova of the New York Sirens. Should be very exciting. The Chicago Women's Sports Club has a section for that game. You can buy tickets on Ticketmaster, but through them on their Instagram. That way you can sit in their section. And I believe you also do get a discount on your ticket. Or Babe Sports Bar is doing a section as well. And I believe that they will have a party bus, again, like they did for the one in December. So if you are going to the takeover tour and want to hang out with friends, highly recommend getting your tickets through either Chicago Women's Sports Club or Babe Sports Bar. And guys, show up because it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I'm very excited.
Yes, and I think that stuff is always a little bit more fun in the group. So,
Because
and
it's intimidating. I mean, we've both been to hockey games, and granted, it doesn't really bug me as much anymore just because I did it so many times, but it's definitely intimidating for individuals if you're trying to, one, get into the sport of hockey, and then you want to go, but you don't know, if you can go by yourself, if you want to go by yourself. Like, it makes it even more intimidating.
it does, and nobody needs to be like Krusty and doing all these things by himself.
Exactly. Christy, do you have anything more for the women's Olympics?
Believe so. The only little thing that I've already heard is I've already heard the thought process of both captains figuring out a friggin' way to play again in 4 years.
Sure.
You know, I don't think it's impossible. So that's hopeful. They've really carried a torch. And this is really, I think this one has been fantastic for them. I think a little bit more recognition, and the games were friggin' incredible, man. Just friggin' incredible. That's a lot of talent. I don't know who that girl was, number 4 on USA though. Wow. I could use that puck moving defenseman.
That is your Caroline Harvey of the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, she's really good.
She led the team in points for this Olympic run. She also had just a fantastic story of, she was at a low point, I think about a year, maybe less than a year ago, and has really been able to dig herself out of the hole that she was in, kind of mentally and everything, and just to see her succeed. Now, that's Caroline Harvey. She is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Abby Murphy fan because, local girl, always support your local talent. But that was the one girl in watching everything that I completely noticed. She dominated shifts at times from the defensive end. It was pretty impressive. So that was my other big thought from Team USA.
Yeah. Jumping over to the men's, before we get to the medal round, I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Royally Quacked, specifically Gary from Royally Quacked, because, many months ago when the Chicago Blackhawks were facing off against the Los Angeles Kings, we asked them, who's kind of the underrated guy that is contributing the most. And he said Joel Armia, who had an absolute fantastic run for Team Finland throughout this Olympic stretch. So I just wanted to shout out Gary from Royally Quacked for informing us and calling it out that Joel Armia deserves a lot more credit than he's been given. And I think he definitely got, his credit on Team Finland. Also with Team Finland, and this kind of bleeds into NHL news, looks like Mikko Rantanen's out for about 2 weeks for an injury that he sustained during the semifinal game because he did not play in the bronze medal game against Slovakia. So he is expected to be out for 2 weeks. I believe that is really the only other injury that is coming out of Team Finland. Teuvo will be back Wednesday, I think. For the Hawks, they're just giving him an extra second because why not? Because it's not like we are in a position where, a ton of guys went to the Olympics. We just had one, so Teuvo can have a little bit of rest. I know there was a little bit of freak out because he wasn't at practice today. He's fine. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Royally Quacked with calling out Joel Armia. I also just want to give Team Finland mad props. I may be a little biased because that's the team that I choose to cheer for international competitions, but you made it to the bronze medal game. They played great. They were also without their captain this entire time. And guys, I don't know how many weeks I can say it in a row. Not having Sasha Barkov on your team makes such a giant difference. Just look at the Florida Panthers in the standings right now. And so to do all of that work with the injuries that Finland came in with is absolutely incredible. Did I wish that they were in the gold medal game? Sure. Do I think there was some very questionable reffing? I don't agree with Teemu Selanne 99% of the time, but we're on the same page about some questionable reffing that happened during the semifinals against Canada. But I think they had a very impressive run throughout this Olympics for Team Finland.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback and start there then. From the quarters on, that was some unbelievable hockey. The semis, both games went to overtime. Everybody can complain and talk about how they don't like the overtime. I thought Cooper stated it the most. This is a TV-driven thing. The objective is to get these games finished. And
I don't understand the big deal about people that hate the overtime. Because it's not like we do it much differently.
Well, in the playoffs we do. To crown a champion, we do in the NHL. I think that's what it is. There's a lot of people coming on board for the first time, watching Olympic hockey, everything else, and there's slight confusion. And it's not this. Yes, it's not. It's the way it's always been. There's been, in the World Juniors, there's gold medals given out through a shootout. It's just kind of the way this is. But that was 2 unbelievable games in the semis. There's a lot of talk about Team Finland. Did they sit back too much? Did they try to protect that lead too much? Well, also with that is the fact that your best player was ailing. So it's a tough call. They had it. I'm sure they felt they had it. This was one that was taken away from them. I'm sure that was their feeling. But it was a great game. Props to Team Canada for coming back. And then even the other semi, USA dominated for the most part. And still, we were in overtime. And, some of this is a little bit of luck. When you start looking at Team USA, the fact of the matter is also that they were the healthiest team. There's no doubt about that. When Sweden gets ready to play Team USA, their best defenseman, well, maybe not their best defenseman. Dahlin and Goose played really well. So one of their top defensemen, which I never thought I would actually be saying this about Victor Hedman, that he might not be your top defenseman, but unsure of exactly how healthy he was while he was playing. but then he doesn't suit up. It's a tall ask. And, as I said, both great games, unbelievable hockey. I am unsure how I'm supposed to go back and watch Blackhawk hockey.
Also like to speaking of, the final four games, I would like to give mad props to Uri Slivkovsky for essentially putting his team on his back throughout the Olympics. I thought he had a fantastic run. He's one of those where you kind of figure he's going to be the guy, if not one of the guys. But I thought he had a fantastic Olympic run as well.
Oh, mad props completely just to the Slovaks. That was huge for country. That was unbelievably huge. To make it to the Final Four was huge. So, and again, then they get to the semis and they just run into, a Team USA that's clicking on all cylinders. But, we've got in my little chat group, we've got somebody from Slovakia and he was pumping his chest and, they've got nothing to be ashamed of. That was a well-played team. And as we always often talk about on here, goaltenders are a weird group. And that goaltender was playing like dog shit in the AHL. And then he comes over and boom. And again, he wasn't the only goaltender that was playing like dog shit and ended up shining. As we said last week, where Krusty guaranteed that, Binnington would not be playing, would not see the crease, blah. Completely wrong. And as far as that final game, a phenomenal game. Billy Guerin did get some respect back for the fact that, the team he picked, they were 17-17 in the penalty kill. So obviously that worked. As we said before this whole thing started, somebody's going to lose and then somebody's going to have to answer questions. And for me, the game was incredible. I thought Canada just brought it the last two periods. It just, it was not meant to be for them. And sometimes it's just that simple. That's kind of the way it goes. As far as them, the two takeaways from the gold medal game, as far as Team Canada, one thought was, at the end of the day, did you really want Doughty there over Matthew Schaefer? I am unsure on that one. And also, we talk about health. Morrissey being out for Team Canada was huge also. And the other injury for Team Canada, I think we can all agree that Macklin Celebrini played a phenomenal Olympics. But on the power play, he's in the bumper spot. And that bumper spot usually belongs to somebody who did not go to the Olympics. That's Point's position in Tampa Bay. Mac missed 2 primo chances on that last power play. Right there, wide open, and missed the net twice. Does Point hit one of those? Yeah, maybe. And as far as
Not a knock against Macklin Celebrini. I think
no.
Braden Point is older, and
No, as I said, he had a phenomenal. This is just a quick takeaway from me. And when I give these takeaways, I'm not saying bad. No. I'm just know what I've seen Point do so many times on the Tampa power play. That was my only little thing on that. As far as Team USA, that was 46 years. The one guy that I hadn't heard a ton about and also had the second best save in the gold medal game was Charlie McAvoy. I thought McAvoy was unbelievable. I thought he dictated the way things were going to rock and roll in the last 3 games. Each game, he had 3 unbelievable hits where he lined people up. I would like that condensed with a little bit of context around it and brought to Artie and say, at the end of the day, Artie, this is what your finished product, this is what I am going to want. Not always offensive, but I want you to light some people up occasionally. But McAvoy was unbelievable, and McAvoy's save when Hellebuck was down and out and it was just McAvoy, that was huge. It's a game changer. And again, as far as the rest of it, the overtime stuff, everybody was stating it. This will probably be over quick. And it was. They played a little slow for less than a minute, and then they were going to trade chances. Zach Werenski with an unbelievable stick lift and taking the puck from McKinnon. And, Jack Hughes let the demons be gone from times before and buried it. This is what it is as far as Olympics and international play. You're going to play 3-on-3. It's going to look a little wankier either way. Everybody plays through it. People who want to say this or that, just remember the other games were decided by this or that also. There's no perfect way for it. But McAvoy, I thought...
is a prime example.
2010
is a prime example.
Exactly. But I wanted to definitely point out Charlie McAvoy, who I thought was just unbelievable. And, the Hughes brothers got some of their, revenge and at least got noticed. It was all good. And, I'll comment just quickly. I said when the tragedy happened with Johnny Hockey that, I hope they could keep his name alive somehow. Such a big part of USA Hockey, and they did that. I thought that was really nice. Just that I heard from a lot of other people, oh, that was so cool. Well, it was over the summer also for USA's World Championships. The jersey was there. They paraded around. So this has been going on since the tragedy. So I really enjoy that they've stuck to that. And as I've told you, there's you can't really be positive of how people are, but that was one guy that everything that I've heard, it's just a wonderful human being. So that's about all I've got on that game. The Olympics, I thought, went really well as far as the hockey's concerned. I enjoyed it, as I said. I don't know how to go back to Blackhawk hockey. It's going to be rough.
I missed my boys.
Well, I miss them, but
this entire month. Granted, that's why I've been watching women's hockey, because it's a lot more fun. Yeah, I think I'm ready for the boys. I'm ready for Blackhawk hockey again. I think it was absolutely great, for the women, just to get more viewership just on an international scale, because yes, the PWHL has done absolute wonders for women's professional hockey players, but I think, adding this now to the Olympics is just more for them, more visibility, more everything. So I think it's definitely helped the women's. I have no comments on the gold medal game. One, because I didn't watch it, not because I was trying to swing it one way or the other, but I was on vacation. I took one of those rare vacation things that Krusty likes to. So I didn't watch it. And then due to behavior after the game, I have no desire to watch it. And I have no desire to comment on players that acted very rudely towards the women's Olympic team. So we're going to move on.
Let's move on.
NHL news, we really don't have a ton, just because of the Olympic break. The trade freeze, though, has lifted. So we have seen a couple of minor trades throughout the league. And then, folks, as a reminder, the trade deadline is going to be next Friday. It is the day that the Blackhawks are back. And we are playing Vancouver, I believe. So that is next Friday. So we have now until next Friday for teams to do a bunch of different things. There technically can be trades done at the lower level after, but they just can't play for their new team or do anything. But next Friday at 3, I think it is kind of the cutoff. That day is normally crazy. Check your Twitter, check your Blue Sky, check whatever. I would just keep checking until like 4 because the paperwork has to go through by 3, but doesn't mean that it gets announced at 3. I'm getting flashbacks to my trade deadline day nightmares. So that should be a very wacky day. But Christy, you had NHL news.
I just found it very entertaining. Paul Coffey is back as a coach for the Edmonton Oilers, coaching defensemen. A lot of drama around this. He wasn't supposed to come back. New ownership didn't want him, I believe, or something like that, but it wasn't the best parting. But with their scattered play, he is coming back. My take on all of this is everyone is on notice. They got 2 years, but they better do it pretty quickly. But there's no waiting around. Everybody's job is on the line. This is an unbelievable postseason for Edmonton again. They've got to attempt to get this right. We'll see if that happens. But they're pulling out all the stops, and if things go south, everybody's going to get launched.
There you go. You heard it from Christy.
And as far as the trade deadline, I think you'll know everything starts off again Wednesday, and we get a good amount of games. I think you'll know within a week. Everybody will basically be set, whether they're buyers or sellers. You've got a couple teams that are on that bubble that I think the next week, that's you, Florida. I don't know if you want to talk any rumors, but the one Florida rumor I've just giggled at, and that's the Bob going multiple places, and I don't think
that's what you need to get rid of.
I don't think
that's your problem.
I don't think the Bob's gonna go anywhere, and he's gonna know trade. I get the speculation. He's a UFA anyways. Why not get something for him and then bring him back? We'll see. But it's going to be crazy.
It is going to be crazy. Maybe we'll delve a little bit more next week as we approach, because like Christy said, we've got about a week before we kind of, know if teams are going to be buyers and sellers. As always, there are surprises on trade deadline day. We had Brad Marchand last year. There's usually one or two where it's like, whoa. And then there's usually one or two teams that just do exactly the opposite of what everyone was speculating. So maybe we'll talk a little bit more next week, but it is approaching. It is looming. But that is really all. Blackhawk hockey is back on Thursday, but jumping to our prospect report, starting off with Jack Pridham with the Kitchener Rangers. We have 1 goal and 2 assists. 2 assists and 1 goal for Merrick Vanaker out of the Brantford Bulldogs. 3 goals for Nathan Bem with the Kamloops Blazers. 1 assist for Vaclav Nestrasil out of UMass, so he is back from the injury that he sustained a couple of weeks ago. 2 goals and 1 assist for John Mustard out of Providence College. 1 assist for Julia Sumpf out of Providence College. Nothing from Sasha this week, but that's because Boston University did not play this weekend. They have a massive weekend coming up, BU versus BC again. Last time BC kind of walked them like a dog. didn't mean to make that as a joke because they're the Terriers, but they walked him like a dog. So that is BC versus BU this upcoming weekend, which should be huge for Sasha. We've got Roman Kanserov with 58 points in 55 games, and then Krusty's favorite Mason West with 16 points in 24 games at the USHL level.
Yeah, everybody's still starting to get their little pump up about Mason West again. And, I remind everybody this is a long-term project. This is a long shot. But if it pans out, woohoo!
I'm very intrigued. I mean, I think it's kind of one of those where it's like what he does this year is what he does, coming into the USHL basically at the halfway point when football ended. He's going to Michigan State next year, and Michigan State's already on an absolute nasty heater. And it's not like one of those where it's like, well, this is the last year of Michigan State being good, and then they're going to leave. You have a ton of guys who are just finishing up their freshman year, and I would imagine aren't going to be making the automatic jump unless Philly is just really scrambling to put anybody in their lineup, because you do have a lot. The pipeline from Michigan State to the Philadelphia Flyers is heavier than most. But even if you don't take everybody, I don't see this being this is Michigan State's year to win it, and then they're going to go on a decline. So I'm curious to see what he does, not only jumping up from the USHL to the NCAA, but also playing with other players that, were in that first round with him for the same draft year, or, maybe at that caliber, but a year or two ahead. I'm intrigued to see what he does at the collegiate.
Well, yeah, and it'll be his first year of ever just concentrating on hockey. He concentrated on football until football season ended. So that's going to be huge. And if Sparty's on this big tear, I know there's at least one player on Sparty that's not on a tear. And that's your Candace Lindstrom, who is looking more and more like could be the biggest swing in the miss in a long, long time. Sorry, Columbus Blue Jackets, but that could have been Demidov. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, go on. Sorry, didn't mean to speed bump you there.
No, that's all that I have in terms of prospect report. But yeah, it should be interesting for next year. I think, like I said, whatever Mason West does this year, he does, and then it'll be even more interesting. I think even if all of the Flyers prospects, I'm really looking at you, Porter Martone, even if all the prospects from Michigan State to the Philadelphia Flyers move in the summer and they only play 1 year at the collegiate level, I think it's still going to be a significant jump for him. And it should be very exciting.
So I take it, here I'm going to go off script some more. Porter Martone is playing pretty well for Sparty. That was a guy that I really, really liked. When I say things like that, it doesn't mean I dislike Frundell. Okay,
I love Frundell.
I was on team Porter Martone. Just saying it. That he's on a heater, I would assume he goes next year, but good for him. Yeah. I think so. But again, we don't know. We do not know this.
Who knows the insides of the makings of the Philadelphia Flyers? I don't even know if they know.
Maybe Patrick Sharp.
Maybe. Maybe we'll get that with our preview coming up, because I know we do face them in the next couple of weeks. So maybe our Philadelphia Flyers insider can give us some insight into the.
We're hoping so. It'll be rough to be putting him on the spot, but.
Yeah. Krusty, you got anything else at the prospect level?
No.
This is not a prospect because he is not a prospect yet. For all the Blackhawk fans getting on the McKenna train after this weekend, chill out. The lottery hasn't happened yet. We don't know anything.
Yes, we don't know where we're picking yet. That's why I don't get crazy until I kind of figure out where we're picking and
We
everything
also
else.
don't need to spend this next month and a half tanking to try to get him. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick and tired of tanking, and I would actually like to win some games.
Um, I hate tanking. You've heard my spiel about this enough. Um, but again, we'll see where all that goes. Yeah, he's starting to take off a little bit, and good for him. There's supposedly a lot of good top 10 talent, and that's what we'll be picking somewhere in there.
Yeah. Jumping to Rockford Ice Hogs, we have a signing, Chicago signing, but then immediately was sent down to the Rockford Ice Hogs. We have Oliver Rodriguez, goaltender. The expectation is that he will be backing up Drew Camasso during this Berezhnoi suspension. He only has a 1-year contract. I think everyone's trying to make this out to be a bigger deal than it is, and it's not. It's just we need another goaltender in Rockford. With that being said, I would like to give the credit and shout out to Owen Flores, who was in the OHL prior to this year, was signed at the tail end of April by the Hawks, has been playing pretty much in Indy, but has been called up to Rockford quite a few times throughout the season, be it, when Drew was on concussion protocol, when we had the weird flu thing in the beginning of January, during this time. And he has performed extremely well for Rockford when he has been called up. So I just want to give credit to Owen Flores. I think, you have the Rodriguez signing, so Flores can still compete with Indy for this year, but there's been rumblings and talks of, if Camasso ends up playing more than just like a few handful of games next year in Chicago, you know, who could possibly be a piece in net for Rockford. And it's been, there's been chatter and rumblings with Owen Flores performing well the times that he has been called up from Indy. So I will just like to give credit to him. I'd also love to give credit to Aiden Thompson. Had a fantastic weekend and particularly a fantastic game. I think it was Sunday. It was Sunday or Saturday. He's been playing pretty well the past couple of weeks. And then you had a Gavin Hayes hat trick. Also, aside from the hat trick, has just become a point scoring machine for the Rockford Ice Hogs and has been having a very, very good season. I want to say since like the start of the new year. He's been performing very well. And as much as we like to say, and it hurts me to say it, come trade deadline, if there are pieces moved, more than just one, and, a lot of, Blackhawk management really likes to, throw some of the younger kids a bone at times. We've seen that with calling up DeMastro and Allen at the tail end of last year. There's definitely been instances where, they give Ice Hogs players basically a show me moment. If Gavin Hayes continues to do what he is doing, I would not be surprised if he does get a moment post trade deadline. Maybe that's a hot take.
Well, yeah, he is a centerman, correct? Or is he a winger? He's a winger? Okay, never mind. But yeah, he's been on a heater. He's been a forgotten man just because of low production for a little while. So that's always great to see. And for that middle group, going to be an awful lot of fighting in the next couple of years. There's a whole bunch of them that are in that middle group, and you've got to distinguish yourself away from it. And that's either by being a centerman and being incredible at their dot, or the best way for any of them to is what Gavin Hayes is doing now. Put the puck in the net. Yeah, which he's done. So hopefully competition is good. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I wouldn't, I mean, I'm just a big fan of Gavin Hayes, full biased, Hayes and Savvy. But, you've had different call ups. At this point in time, Katie kind of knows what the younger kids are that either have been called up and have stayed up or, have had an opportunity to be called up and then they go back down, i.e., Nick Lourdes. You kind of know where they are right now. Gavin's been in Rockford. This is his second year. I think it would be a good opportunity, again, full bias, to just give him a couple of games and see if he continues on this heater. Why not?
Yeah, again, that'll depend on how many forwards go. There's a good chance it's just the Dick and Mickey Mouse. It's nobody's sure. Rumblings, they might be talking, but everybody's pretty tight-lipped about it. And I've already given my take on Foligno, that I believe he will be here for another year. But then again, he sat down with Powers and goes, I'm not completely against going to a contender just for the fact that he doesn't have a ring. So the ability to chase a ring, well,
Is
that's
enticing.
it is enticing. And, for this veteran group, it's been a rough go. And as I've said before on the show, I believe KD is going to do right by all of them, especially Foligno. If he were to say, I'd like to go, I think KD finds a way for him to go somewhere, hopefully. And same thing with Murph. If Murph wants to go, I think KD will. This talk of we got to get X, Y, or Z, not for those two. It's going to be what it is. You're making players happy, and that kind of thing goes far for an organization later on. So, yeah. All right. Are we going to talk about the big club or just skip them?
We can talk about the big club for a couple minutes. We start back up on Thursday, which
Yes,
is
we
great.
do.
Got a couple of road games. And then finally the boys come home the following week. But I'm very excited for Blackhawk hockey once again. I'm curious to see, you know, that first game. I think that first game is going to be wonky anyway. I said that during the Monday preview just because it'll be the first game back not only for Chicago but for Nashville. Granted, Nashville had a couple more players that went to uh, the Olympics where we just had the one. Um, but I'll be very curious to see kind of the pace and overall just look of after a couple of weeks of rest, how some golfing, some training will affect.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm hearing Renzel is running PP1. So you have Renzel up, you have EDM back. I don't believe Kaiser will be ready for when these games start. So, and they have to figure out what they're going to do with the Artie experiment.
Free Artie.
I don't know what they're planning to do with that. They don't know either. EDM isn't up. Core and Sam came up, so I'm curious to see how much Core's used. But it's almost show me time. Core is going to be on the big club next year unless he's traded because he is not waiver exempt, and there's no way they're sending him down because there'll be a long line of people grabbing him. So it'll be interesting. Um, yeah, I'm ready for hockey. So I feel good about it. It's going to be a rough 25 games, I believe. Let's see how it goes. Um, as far as that, it's 4 games on the road. We'll see how all that plays out. Hopefully, my guy Gangrene is out of jail also.
Which
I
we don't even know why he was put in jail in the first place.
um I believe they are starting to with Artie and everything else. We talk accountability, and you always say, "Where is it?" I think they've decided it's only going to be with the kids, and they're finding different
We have
ways.
such great locker room culture.
They're
We're
trying to find,
accountability for all, but we're going to be selective about it.
yeah. You can't send veterans down, so it is what it is.
No, but you
I
can
am
scratch them.
I they're at the point where they've got to figure out ways to motivate and how to prod. And it's fascinating to me to see how all of this works with Artie. Because I think that's and I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pride and say, listen, we know what you have. We need more. He's going to deliver it. I'm not worried about it. Yes, Hockey Princess.
Do you think, with all of the energy that they use trying to prod that kid, they could just use that energy to coach him?
I think they're trying. That's a guy who did not come to you as anything close to a finished product. There's so many weird parts in his game, and I still believe that he could be very strong defensively. But that he needs to learn more, and that's another huge piece for them. If they get him wrong, things are rough. You've already struggled with Core, but you knew what Core was when you picked him up. I think, they're pretty sure what Artie is. It's just, how do we get him there and still remember he's just a baby?
He's a child.
He is a child, but they need to find a way to get that spark. And when I talk about that spark, the spark of wanting to be the best and dominate, I truly believe in 3 years he will be imposing his will on people. And if I'm wrong, hey, everybody can bring it at me.
I think that's a thing that they need to bring across the board. I don't think that's just Artie specifically, because I think there's been plenty of games going up to the Olympic break. Yes, we had a couple of great games, against San Jose or whatever, but there were plenty of games where there was no spark from across the board with the exception of whoever was in net. I think you have the issue of you don't hate to lose from everyone.
Well, oh, no doubt about it. But that's something that's going to take time. You've grown a culture right now where, let's be honest, losing is acceptable. That's the culture we're in right now. Now you have to make the move to where it's not, and that's a lot harder. It's easy to suck. It's very hard not to suck. There's no other way to put it. I've got confidence in this coaching staff. I know Hockey Princess does not have the confidence I do.
Confidence needs to be gained. It's not just immediately earned.
Correct.
And I
Correct.
haven't seen enough yet to have confidence. I don't have enough proof to have faith that you're going to lead them to the next step. I don't. So I will sit here like a negative Nelly because I haven't been seen anything yet. I've been shown the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to, just because the bar's in hell doesn't mean I'm going to trip over it.
Yep. And this is the hard part. So we'll see.
Yeah. But thank goodness, hockey.
Hooray!
Whoop whoop. Christy, do you have any final thoughts for this week?
I don't think I've got any final thoughts. We'll talk more about trade deadline stuff and the rest of the rumors when we put out our next one, which will still drop before trade deadline. So that's all I got.
Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Give us that 5-star review, folks, or really any star. Just tell us how you think we're doing.
Yeah,
Um,
you go out there and say how stupid Krusty is. Is he ever right? I understand.
and if you are going to a game this season, please wait for the whistle. Do not get while the puck's in play. Highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. The food's great, the people are great, and we're always there. That is all, and we'll talk to you guys next week.